guys, it's Amy here, and today I'm with the lovely Sophie from PortalinthePages. I have been welcomed into her home with tea, we've got jammy dodgers, and we're going to be doing a Q&A for this channel. We're also going to be doing a tag over on Sophie's channel, so make sure to go and subscribe and go and watch that there. So we asked you guys on Instagram and Twitter if you had any questions for us, so we're going to answer those for you today.
First question we had is, why did you choose your channel name?
My channel name's just really random and it really has no reason behind it at all. It's my username I had way back, like when I used to play like little online games and stuff when I was younger, and I have no idea why, and then I wanted it to be Shout Amy with a Y, which is how my name's spelled, but they didn't have that, so I just put an E on instead, and then all of my usernames for everything has always been that. I've never changed. What about you?
I chose mine, I don't know, like I kind of, you go through that thing where you don't know if anyone else is going to see it, I think. So I had my channel name when I was watching Bookish before I started filming Bookish.
Ah.
But I did it kind of because of the feeling you get when you read a book, you kind of go into that world of that book. And I wanted to have it as a kind of get the idea that you get taken into a book and go to a different place. That's kind of what mine was about.
Yeah, I like that. Like Alice in Wonderland,
yes,
slipping through into another world. I mean, see, that makes so much more sense than mine.
So Reenie Beanie asked, would you rather only be able to read your most hated book or no books for the rest of your life?
I'm trying to think what my most hated book is.
Do you know, I think I'd rather not read any books.
Well,
I know that sounds a bit controversial, but I think if all I was doing was being annoyed by books,
I think if I continuously read a book that I hated, it would just turn me into a really nasty person.
Yeah.
And I would just hate everything then.
I'd rather not read and write my own books.
Yeah.
I think I'd do a better job than what
just invent your own stories in your head. You wouldn't have to like. I don't even know what my like most hated book would be anyway, but I don't think I'd want to read it. Like books I've disliked, I've been like, I mean, I just recently did my worst books of 2016 video, and like I wouldn't want to read any of those books again. So Stevie asked us, if you could give each other one book from your collection, which one? Have you read any Wilkie Collins?
No.
I think Wilkie Collins was a friend of Charles Dickens, and I mean I've only read one book from Charles Dickens, which was A Christmas Carol at Christmas, and like I thought it was a good book, but I wasn't overwhelmed by Charles Dickens' writing. But Wilkie Collins is just like on another level, and if you like kind of murder mysteries or like anything like that, like Agatha Christie, then it's kind of like that mashed with like the kind of witty, like fun characters of like Jane Austen kind of thing. So I think I'd give you like The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins, which is a really, really fun book. Or The Moonstone, which is really good as well. All of them. What would you recommend me?
Well, at the moment I'm reading Notes from a Native Son, Notes to a Native Son, what's it called? Yeah. Notes of a Native Son by James Baldwin, and James Baldwin is incredible. Like, I just want to like shout
the other day, I need to. Like, what's it about? What kind of thing is it?
It's a collection of essays, but he also does write novels. He's the guy who wrote Giovanni's Room.
Right, okay.
And it's just, it's one of those books where every line, every sentence, every word is so vital, and I underline stuff when I read, and I quite literally
have... red pen, goodness me!
Like a teacher.
And you do it with like a ruler as well.
Yeah, but there's stuff on like every page. And that's
wow!
Like, yeah, so
like
that's
whole
like,
paragraphs of underlined.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a bit sad, but like I've absolutely loved that so far. So I'm pushing that.
Yeah. I'll have to. To be honest, I've never heard of him before, so I'll have to look into it.
It's really good, really good.
Brilliant, good, awesome, great question.
Do you have a guilty pleasure read? Was asked us by Our Wild Things. Things I read that like I always feel like, oh, I shouldn't be reading this. It's so bad. It's never well written, but. Like misery memoirs, like people who have like really horrifying. Like,
I know the ones you mean.
Yeah,
like A Child Called It by Dave Pelzer. I remember reading that when I was really young when I read that, and I think it like scarred me for life. Like, but I know the type. The ones that in the bookshop, they've all got like white covers
like a
and
like
a crying child, and then like a scrawly
like, why, mummy?
We all know the books.
Yeah. Like,
you like that?
I'll buy them and I'll read one and I'll read it in like a couple hours and then I throw it away and make sure
no one see. Oh, that's so funny.
Like,
I'm trying to think. At the moment, the book that's popping into my head is The Host by Stephanie Meyer. Only because people, like, there's a whole bunch of people that have this like thing against Stephanie Meyer but for the Twilight books, which I did enjoy at the time of reading them. I don't know if I would enjoy reading them now, but The Host is one of my all-time favourite books. Like, I really, really love it. But I don't know whether it's because I read it at the exact time in my life and it just had made that connection with me, because even I read it like within the last year or so and I still loved it. So I don't know, like, if it was just that reason that it's got that connection with me. Because I do think sometimes, like, I recommend this to everyone, and I wonder if they're all going off and reading it and they're like, what is Amy talking about?
I do an after Host.
Yeah, I know, so there we go. Like, but I do know quite a few people that, like, I think you really have to get into it, because I've recommended it to 2 of my best friends, and it took them a good, like, few, like, chapters and stuff to get into it, and then as soon as they did, they were like, oh, we love it, it's amazing. So, who knows? So, from Franny.Fran on Instagram, she said, how do you pick your books? Do you let the cover guide you? And she says that she does. She definitely likes to have like the cover look nice before she goes and picks it up to see if she'd be interested in the story. And she always chooses paperbacks over hardbacks. That's something that I definitely do. Like,
paperbacks?
Yeah, I mentioned this on my channel quite a few times. Like, I'm just not a big fan of hardbacks anyway. I don't like holding hardbacks and reading them, and my like home, like my bedroom where I keep all of my books and everything else I own is like not big enough to have like all the hardbacks in books that I own. Quite often, like, you'll see on my channel that if like a book was really popular last year, that I'll get it like a year later when it's come out in paperback. Yeah, how would you?
I like hardcovers.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
I prefer reading them.
Sophie's shelves are full of hardcovers, I can see. They're really, really beautiful. Like, if I had enough room, like, I'm sure I probably would buy like my favourite books in a hardback.
I just gravitate towards reading them. Like, if I have a pile of to be read books, I have hardcovers and paperbacks. I'll always read the hardcovers.
Really, I just love like the ease of having paperback. You know, just like it just feels so much nicer in your hand. Like, it's not all heavy and you don't have to worry about a dust jacket. Yeah, good question.
So again, from our wild things, one book that you think every child should read?
Some of my favourites: The Wind and the Willows by Kenneth Graham. Alice in Wonderland, although like I tried to read Alice in Wonderland when I was actually a child and I struggled with it. Like, it's a bit of a weird book, but I think maybe if someone read it to you it would be easier. Harry Potter, obviously.
I think The Secret Garden is the one I
Oh,
go for.
yes.
Like, I read that as a child so many times.
Oh, good answer, yeah. I read that actually for the first time last year.
Did you?
And 5 stars, loved it.
It's cool.
Yeah.
So again, from our wild things, any book recommendations for February? So like Valentine's related book. What do you think?
One that jumps to mind for me, Attachments by Rainbow Rowell.
I've not read
I
it.
think it really hit the humour mark for me because, like, I think I have this very specific thing that I find funny. Like, when you describe it to people, it comes off as a bit of a weird, like, creepy book. The main guy in it is the kind of person in the IT department who monitors everyone's emails to make sure they're not, like, talking about private things. And he starts just, like, reading all these emails between these 2 women in this office. And
It's
instead
really
of,
creepy.
I know, it sounds really creepy, but instead of, like, sending them a warning and telling them to stop, he just reads them, like, and he works at night as well. I mean, it's sounding really, really creepy. He just reads their emails and gets to really know them and really, like, he starts, like, falling in love with them.
This is a horror book. What's wrong with you?
I know.
He starts falling in
I know,
love
this is
with
what I
Harry.
said. Like, every time I describe it to people, they're just like, this sounds like a really bizarre book. But it comes off in a really, like, nicely sweet, genuine way. And the humour between these 2 women, their emails, you read them, is brilliant.
Books I normally recommend, like romance-wise, Essays in Love, which is more about breakups than anything else, but Ellen Beaton is bloody fantastic.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that book. There's another one called If You're Not Yet Like Me, which is probably one of my favourite. Like, it's tiny. It's a tiny, like, minuscule thing. But it's a really realistic portrayal of 2 people dating and how, like, they aren't exactly, like, they don't have everything that the other one, like, they aren't their ideal person, but they're someone that they still really love, and it's all about how, like, the guy does all these things, she's like, oh, for goodness sake, I wish he wouldn't do this, he'd be better if he didn't do this, but she kind of loves him for it, and he loves her for her imperfections, and that's one of my favourite. Like, I much prefer things like that.
So Nicole Corbett on Twitter says, in Harry Potter, what job intrigues you the most, and if you could, what would you choose to do?
I know what I'd do. I mean, I don't think it's a job that exists there, but I definitely should do. Like, I'd love to be someone who researches why magic works. So trying to figure out, like, what processes actually let people be magical and not magical, and try and find out why people might have the, like, squibs. Like, trying to research, like, how magic works, how it transfers, if it's like a genetic thing or
oh, Yeah, I think that's totally a you kind of
thing,
isn't it? That's
such a
brilliant.
answer, but yeah.
Oh, I don't know what kind of thing I would like, really. Like, I like the idea of working at Hogwarts.
Yeah,
like,
I can see you doing
I like, you know, if I could just be the librarian, I think.
No jokes, I literally thought that is what you would do.
Like, if I could just sit in a library all day with like magic stuff happening and like being
Excitable students.
Yeah, and being like really knowledgeable on like everything to do with magic and where it was in the library, and if I could have a little cat in there too, an owl at my kind of that I could use, that would be so brilliant. Oh, let's make this happen.
Yeah. Okay, so Emma asked, what are your favourite film adaptations of books you've read?
Well, my first one that comes to mind is The Lord of the Rings. Like, that's just like my favourite, all-time favourite book series, and then my all-time favourite film series. I'm not a big watcher of films, to be honest, but those are ones that I could just watch all the day, all the live long day. I also have like the extended versions at home, which makes each film like 4 hours long or something. Like, whenever my family sit down and they're like, oh, should we watch Lord of the Rings? I'm like, yeah, I'll go and get the extended edition. They're like, no, we'll just watch, we don't need the extended edition. I'm like, but it makes it so much, there's so much more you don't understand. And they're like, no, we'll just watch the regular version.
That's brilliant.
What about you?
I read a lot of Stephen King, and I think The Green Mile is one of the best books and movie. Like,
I've actually seen that one. Yeah.
It's a really good movie. It
that
makes me cry in buckets.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. It makes me very sad.
That's really my favourite of all time. Stephen King has loads of great movies.
I didn't even know that he wrote that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what the
And
one
that's
was.
not scary. Whenever I think of Stephen King, I
No,
think
he does
of
do
scary things.
scary things. Definitely, you need to try and pick up some of his short stories.
Yeah.
Because then you get a bit of a breadth of what he does. But
Yeah, because I'm not a big fan of horror, so.
no, he does other stuff. He does other stuff really well. I can't remember the other one. What he did was, it's really famous, the prison escape one, where there's the tunnel behind the picture. That's his book.
What? The Shawshank
Redemption?
Redemption?
Yeah, I'm sure that's him. I'm sure that's one of his book series.
I love that film too. I mean, I'm amazed that you've managed to name films that I've actually watched because I watch so little.
So, Actual Dragon Slayer asked, what book world would you choose to live in and why?
I think I choose more.
Mordor! Brilliant, go live in Mordor. What's wrong with you? It's so funny. Just imagining
that came out
stuff
of my mouth. I was thinking Middle Earth, and for some reason more came out. Well, no, I don't want to live in Mordor. I would choose Middle Earth. I think I'd probably fit in quite well with the hobbits in the Shire, and living in a little hole like would kind of suit me, to be honest.
Little wood burner.
Yeah, little wood burner. Blankets, very hygge.
Yeah.
Have a cat and like lamps and stuff. Lamps, I know, I don't think I'd have lamps in Middle Earth. I don't have electricity. I can have a candle. What about you?
I think my idea would be Lyra's Oxford. I think that is such a beautiful, like, I love Oxford. I spent quite a lot of time in Oxford when I was like 18, 19, and the city's just gorgeous. But I always loved the idea of having like the demon, and like having that creature that's a part of you.
That's brilliant. Yeah,
I think it's such a fabulous world to live in.
What do you think if, I'm just making up my own question now. If you lived there, what would your big demon be? We're talking about Philip Pullman's Northern Lights, his Dark Materials trilogy, by the way, and in there, like, people have like a version of their like soul, I guess, a part of their soul, like living within
representative as an animal.
Yeah.
I could kind of choose it, and I could decide. I feel like it would be something woodlandy, probably like a little fox, or like a really small, like something that's like fairly sort of sedate but has a vicious side as well. Because I feel like I'm fairly sort of, relaxed as a person, but if I need to be, then I will be. I can snap and do things. I feel like maybe something like that. What do you think?
Yeah, like a kind of like a quiet woodland creature, I think. Like, I don't know, like a little squirrel or like, a little deer or something that just kind of kept out of people's way. And I mean, I'm fun. Don't get me wrong, but
I could totally see you being a squirrel. I could see you having like a tiny creature that's just like bounding around.
Yeah, just imagine a little like squirrel on my shoulder. That's so cute. A red squirrel though, if I was to have one, I'd have a red one.
What book character would you most like as your best friend?
I think I'd probably choose Hermione Granger, because she's so cool. I really love like Hermione in the Harry Potter books. I think she's brilliant. Like, I wouldn't mind having her as a friend. I think we'd get along really, really well.
Weirdly, I'd probably choose, I don't remember which one, but like one of Haruki Murakami's, like his main people. There's like really awkward guys who are like trying to be a little bit cool. They're very much like records, cats, and like jazz.
Hipster.
Yeah,
Right.
I feel like we probably get on. Like I feel like we could sit down and have little chats.
Yeah.
And they always have like these existential crises that I love chatting people through.
Like heal them.
Yeah, I love chatting people through like when they're doing their big important questions. And that's really, really like I really value that. So I feel like I could like be friends with some of his characters. I think that'd be kind of fun.
Oh, good answer. I haven't read anything from him, so I need to.
Read them, but don't read them all together because they're all very similar.
Yeah, okay, I've heard that from a lot of people. To end this Q&A, the last question we're going to do, because we've noticed some people doing it on Twitter, is what book would you recommend to Donald Trump?
Do you know what? I think Letters to a Young Muslim was absolutely blooming brilliant. It is a series of essays written by the UAE's ambassador to Russia to his son, talking about all the things that are sort of against Muslims, like in the Western world, and how it's best to sort of diplomatically engage with people and bridge the differences between people from different countries and different backgrounds and religions. And I think that's the kind of thing that he needs to come up to scratch on quite quickly because he gets the business side, but maybe not the diplomatic side. So that'd be my recommendation, I think.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I was going to go down the side. I think he could benefit from a lot of things, to be honest. But the first thing that popped, even though I haven't read it, but I want to read it, was Everyday Sexism.
Oh yeah.
But also one that I have read was We Should All Be Feminist. I just think that it's just a sad situation, isn't it? Like, really, he needs to.
He said he's like a non-reader, hasn't he? He says he doesn't really read anything, so I think we need to BookTube needs to push it.
Yeah, can we do that? Can we get like a gathering of people to
you can like incite political action?
Force Donald Trump to read a book list. We can make him. He has to do that.
He's 12 in a year.
We can set him a challenge. Get him a page on Goodreads. We'd love to hear your answers to these questions down below, though. Let us know what you think on any of these ones. Like, there have been some really good questions, so thank you for sending them in. As always, I will leave links to Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, everything I've mentioned today down below. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and I will see you soon. Bye!